At around 11 p.m., with rain gently tapping against the window, Arjun was sifting through his old college notes, searching for something. Lately, he'd been trying to see everything with a fresh perspective, as if he were trying to reset his mind. His life felt like it was on autopilot: wake up, go to the office, work, come home, sleep. There was no excitement, no satisfaction, just a monotonous existence without any spark. Arjun always felt that many things in his company were wrong. Unnecessary meetings, delayed decisions, people confused about their roles. Initially, he thought some people were deliberately causing problems. He blamed his boss, considered his colleagues lazy. But one day, he stumbled upon a book called Reset. Its very first line changed his perspective. Many systems break down not due to malice, but due to design flaws that persist because of inertia. He closed the book and took a deep breath. What if what we consider bad intentions are actually just glitches in an old system? He wondered. Like a machine that's become rusty over time, with no one fixing or replacing it. Everyone just works with it, as if it's become a habit. No one even asks why we do things a certain way, we just keep doing them. Arjun did a small exercise. He tried to reverse engineer his company's processes. How did this process start? Who created it? And why? He realized that many rules and processes were from a time when the company only had 20 people. Now there were 200, but the system remained the same. This meant the system wasn't anyone's fault. It simply hadn't been updated. He remembered a day in college when his friend Raghu said, "The system isn't bad, it's just being run with the same mindset it was created with. We've changed, but the system hasn't." At the time, he hadn't fully grasped the depth of that statement, but now it made perfect sense. In the book, Heath said, instead of blaming problems, see them as opportunities to redesign. Arjun felt this was like a game designer's approach. When a video game has a glitch, the designer doesn't blame the player, they debug the system. Our lives and work are similar. If something is glitching, perhaps a system reset is needed. Arjun started small. He began a weekly feedback session for his team. No rules, no agenda, just sitting in a circle and asking, what feels unnecessarily complicated? Initially, people hesitated, then slowly, discussions opened up. Someone said emails were too vague. Someone else mentioned a 2-day delay in the approval process. Arjun simply listened, without reacting. Then one day, he told his team, let's not fix these problems, let's redesign them. Imagine we are starting from scratch today. How would you prefer to work? This sentence worked like magic. People became open and creative. Someone suggested working directly with comments on Google Docs. Another said a 2-level approval wasn't needed, one was sufficient. Gradually, small changes began to happen. Arjun learned that to change a system, you don't need permission from above, you just need a vision of what could be better. His thinking had shifted. Where he once said, that's just how it is, now he asked, should it be this way? This simple question was powerful, as if he were pushing an invisible wall. Arjun applied this mindset at home too. He and his wife, Tanvi, often had the same arguments on weekends: where to go, who would plan, who would manage the kids. It was always a blame game. Why didn't you plan anything? Why didn't you tell me earlier? But now Arjun changed his approach. One evening, they started talking over tea. Can we redesign our weekend planning system? He asked. Tanvi was a bit confused at first. then laughed. You're bringing work home. Arjun smiled. No, this is our life system too, isn't it? They came up with a new method, a 10-minute planning session every Friday night. They would just decide whose weekend it was for planning and execution responsibility. Odd weeks for Arjun, even weeks for Tanvi. A small system change, but with big results. Fights decreased, and weekends became fun. Arjun now understood that many systems in life are followed without thought, like checking your phone first thing in the morning or always eating in a hurry. As he observed these things, he began to feel that happiness and peace come not just from motivation, but from better design. Sometimes he would wonder, is our education system like this too, where children are rote learning because the system is designed that way? Or traffic problems, people don't want to get stuck in traffic, but the system of roads and signals creates chaos. Heath's book had given Arjun a perspective. Every problem is a design opportunity, and design isn't just for engineers, we all do it. Redesigning thoughts, habits, and relationships. Now, wherever Arjun went, he saw systems and flaws, but he no longer complained. He imagined, if I were to build this today, how would I build it? This question changed both his thinking and his actions. One day, his junior colleague said, Sir, it's fun working with you because you always say, let's make this better, instead of that's just how it is. Arjun smiled. He quietly wrote in his notebook, Reset doesn't mean reject, it means reimagine. And that's what he kept doing, reimagining small things, because he now knew that every breakdown holds a breakthrough. You just need the eye to spot that design flaw and the courage to change it. The rain was still falling, but Arjun's mind was clear. He knew that to change life, you don't need big things, just learn to see systems and then learn to reset them, not with force, but with intention. And this was the new chapter of his journey, like a silent designer who seeks a better structure in every chaos. Months passed, and Arjun's life had a new perspective. He now saw every problem as an opportunity to think about how to make it better. Changes were gradually visible in his team too. People became more proactive, and unnecessary processes were removed, making work easier. But as in every journey, at some point, growth tends to slow down. Arjun felt that the pace of improvement had decreased, as if people were saying, everything is fine now. But Arjun knew there was a big difference between fine and great. One day, another department in the company, operations, was struggling significantly. Delays were excessive, clients were complaining, and the team's morale was low. Arjun was invited to that department's internal meeting to offer a fresh perspective from the outside. The atmosphere in the meeting room was tense. People looked at each other but didn't speak openly. The manager sighed and said, We've tried everything, but nothing is changing. Arjun quietly observed everything. That night, he came home and pondered, have they really tried everything? Or are they perhaps only focusing on what's wrong? He remembered another concept from the Reset book, bright spots, focusing on places or situations that are already working, even within a flawed system. This was a powerful idea. Instead of only fixing problems, find what's already working and build around it. Finding and replicating bright spots. The next day, Arjun went to the operations team again. He asked the simplest question, is there any example where a task ran smoothly? Any project that was completed on time without any problems? Initially, there was silence. Then, a junior employee named Neeti raised her hand. Sir, 2 months ago, an urgent client request came in. Everyone worked together until night, and the delivery happened the next day. The client even appreciated us in an email. The others were surprised, as if they didn't even remember it. Arjun showed interest. What was different about that project? Neeti explained, everyone had a clear division of tasks on the very first day. Plus, we created a common group where updates were given every 4 hours. There was no confusion. Arjun drew that process on the board. Then he said, guys, this is a bright spot. Everyone looked at him. This is a shining part within the flawed system. If there was success here, it means the system isn't completely broken. We just need to see how this successful pattern can be replicated. They did a deep dive analysis of that successful project, what steps were taken, what was avoided, how communication remained clear, and how accountability was maintained. Gradually, Arjun involved everyone in designing a new microprocess inspired by that bright spot. Now, tasks that were previously assigned randomly were handled via a mini task board where everyone's responsibilities were clear. Each project had a point person, and a tiny check-in system was created for every 4 hours. Initially, people found it extra work, but within a week, everyone noticed that the chaos had reduced. By just observing one bright spot, light spread throughout the entire system. Arjun understood that sometimes we are so engrossed in problems that we don't even see the parts that are working fine. But if we pause and zoom in, there's always a bright spot in every system, and that's the most valuable teacher. Arjun began applying this approach in his personal life too. A new routine had developed between him and Tanvi. Every third Sunday, they would leave the kids with their grandparents and go out alone for a few hours. Just the two of them, a cup of tea, and some casual talk. Arjun once casually asked, why do you think our fights have reduced now? Tanvi laughed and said, because we get recharged every third Sunday. We connect with each other without any stress. Arjun thought to himself, this is our bright spot. He wondered, if this small habit was having such an impact, why not adopt it more thoughtfully? Now they also started planning a mini date every month, sometimes a candlelight dinner on their rooftop, sometimes breakfast at a nearby cafe. Nothing big, just small bright experiences to balance the rest of the routine. At the office, Arjun also started a new tradition, Bright Spot Thursdays. Every Thursday, a team member would share about a task that went well, and then everyone would discuss what could be learned from that success. Gradually, the team began to recognize each other's strengths, and ideas started flowing. Arjun now remembered the time when he considered everything a problem, but now he knew that something bigger than problems was finding patterns of success. If one person is performing better in a system, maybe they're doing something different that everyone can learn from. Once, a big challenge came his way, a cross-department project that had failed 3 times, and now he had to handle it. Everyone was saying, it's a mess, and no one can do anything. But Arjun applied the same strategy. He didn't just dissect the 3 failures. He asked, has such a project ever succeeded, even a small one? A small project was found where marketing and tech had collaborated to launch an internal campaign. He called in team members from both departments and asked, what did you do differently? They said, we had clear expectations from the beginning, and most importantly, we created a WhatsApp group with only direct stakeholders, no extra people, no confusion. Arjun applied that model to this big project. Simplified stakeholder list, regular updates, and small approval windows for every decision. Surprisingly, The project not only completed but also delivered before the deadline. This time, no one clapped, no awards were given. But Arjun knew this victory wasn't small, it was a system victory, proof that by repeating the right patterns, we can bring improvement to any flawed process. Now, when someone told Arjun, the system is broken, he would smile and say, yes, but there are bright spots too. Let's find them. And this became his mindset, not just solving problems, but finding those small victories that can guide the future of the system. Arjun now knew that the world isn't entirely wrong. In every confusion, there's some clarity hidden. You just need to pay attention, look in the right place. Every light bulb turns on with a switch, and that switch is often found where we least expect it. It's just a matter of whether we focus on the darkness or on those small bright spots that show the way to light. Designing for default right actions. Arjun was now a well-known name in the office. People saw him not just as a manager but as a system thinker. He had made small but meaningful changes in his team, other departments, and even his personal life, which were altering people's thinking and way of working. But Arjun knew that redesigning systems at every level was a never-ending journey. One day, the HR head called Arjun and said, "We are constantly getting compliance issues in the sales team. People are making exaggerated claims in product pitching, giving unethical discounts. We've already conducted training 3 times and sent a new rule book, but the behavior isn't changing." Arjun calmly asked, "Have you checked why these wrong actions are happening?" The HR head shrugged, "Maybe due to pressure, or maybe they're taking the rules lightly." Arjun remained silent. He felt that this was a classic case of what we instinctively do when a system isn't working: add more rules, increase oversight, and conduct another training. But in the next chapter of the Reset book, Heath says something else: systems aren't fixed by just rules. We need to design systems where the right action is the default. Arjun wondered, is such a design possible where the chances of doing wrong automatically decrease? Where people naturally go in the right direction without being forced? Arjun separately called a junior in the sales team named Vijay, a quiet, sincere type of guy. Arjun casually asked, "Have you ever made a false promise to a client?" Vijay shook his head. "No, sir. I only say what's written in the brochure." "Has anyone ever forced you?" Arjun asked. "No, sir. But once a client pushed a lot for a discount. I refused because I didn't understand what was allowed and what wasn't, so I chose the safe option." Arjun got his answer. Vijay didn't do wrong because the system gave him a clear, safe default. When it was unclear, he did what felt safe. Now he thought, why not design the entire sales process so that ethical behavior is the easiest path? Where people don't have to think too much to make a decision? He observed for a week how sales calls happened, what presentations were sent, how approvals were taken. He noticed several friction points where there was confusion and ambiguity, and this ambiguity created opportunities for wrong decisions. He began sketching a new system, a sales assist tool. This tool had fixed pitch lines for every product, automated approved discount slabs, and if a salesperson wanted to make an unusual deal, they first had to get a two-step approval, which was a slightly slower process. But normal ethical deals could be done in just 2 clicks. This was exactly Heath's point: design a system where the right action is the easiest to take. Arjun discussed the system with the team before implementing it. Some people said, "Now we won't have to think manually at all." And Arjun smiled and said, "Exactly. That's the point." In the very first week, results started coming in. Where previously 4 out of 10 deals were questionable, now not even 1 out of 20 deals was unclear. People started saying, there's no room for error now. One day, the HR head asked Arjun, does this tool teach ethical behavior? Arjun replied, no, it doesn't teach. But its design makes the unethical path difficult to take. And if we want to change behavior, it won't happen with just training, or we need an environment that changes behavior. He gave a small example. If unhealthy food is placed up front in the cafeteria and healthy food is at the back, what will people choose? What's in front? But if healthy food is served first, that becomes the default. The HR head laughed. So, we should apply the cafeteria model to every system? Exactly, Arjun said. Now Arjun faced another challenge from his own daughter Ira school. During a PTA meeting, there was a discussion that children were bringing mobile phones every day, and distractions had increased significantly. Parents and teachers were both frustrated. Strict rules had been imposed many times, phones would be confiscated if brought, parents would be called, etc. But within a few weeks, children would start doing the same thing again. Arjun sat quietly, listening to everything. Then he softly said, can I suggest something different? Let's not just ban phones, let's design a default that makes kids not bring them. Everyone looked at him. Arjun explained, can a transparent pouch be added to school bags where students have to deposit their phones in the morning? And that pouch would be collected at the front desk. At the same time, launch a sign-in app where children tick a checkbox every morning with their attendance. Today I submit my phone at the gate. Let it become a small daily habit. Slowly, this will become the default. School means no phone. Some teachers were skeptical, but the principal said, what's the harm in trying? Within 3 weeks, there was a noticeable change. Distractions decreased, and children themselves started bringing phones less often, because now the system made it easier not to bring a phone than to bring it and break the rules. The power of gentle pushes and smart systems. Arjun now understood that the hallmark of a good leader isn't just strategy, but their decision about what kind of default behavior they create for people. Now Arjun started looking for default designs everywhere. One day, a maid came to clean his house. He noticed that whenever something small broke, like the TV remote not working or the bathroom light flickering, everyone would postpone fixing it. Sometimes they would call an electrician, and then the task would be delayed for weeks. So Arjun put up a small magnetic board that said, small things breaking, and anyone who noticed something would just put a sticky note on it. Every Saturday, Arjun would call a handyman, and he would fix everything strictly according to that list. Now things gradually started running better. No one needed to remind anyone, because the system made doing the right thing the easiest option. Arjun now understood that to fix systems, you don't need rules, you need design. And if we create the right design, behavior automatically shifts. He now remembered another line from Heath's book, you don't need to control people if you can shape the path. And Arjun now thought the same in every new challenge. I don't need to stop people. I just need to put them on the path that naturally leads them to the right place. Sometimes the greatest wisdom is to speak less, teach less, and silently build the system that gently pushes people in the right direction. And this became Arjun's silent superpower. He kept creating systems, and people automatically became better, without any extra rules, without much monitoring, just a smartly designed default. System thinking beyond the office. Arjun was no longer just a company manager. His perspective had broadened so much that he now saw everything through the lens of a system. And his mind now worked differently. In every problem, he didn't just see a surface level error. He thought, what's the design flaw behind this? One day, Arjun met an old friend, Samir, who worked for an NGO that ran programs for juvenile reform. During their conversation, Samir said, "We hold motivational sessions all day, provide counseling, improve punishment policies, but children commit crimes again. I don't know where we are going wrong." Arjun instantly remembered a line from Reset. Massive changes often come from small system tweaks. Change incentives, set up feedback loops, and see how magic happens. He asked Samir, "Have you ever observed what was different about the children who didn't commit crimes again?" Samir thought for a moment, then said, "Some children go out and start small businesses or stay connected with a mentor. Perhaps they get a different type of support. So you have bright spots," Arjun said with a smile. "Now you just need to create a system where this bright spot becomes the default." Arjun suggested that the NGO not just view children's behavior from the perspective of punishment or reform, but design a path to create a new identity for them. Together, they started a new pilot program, Project Reboot. It had three components. First, every child was connected with a local business owner who became their mentor. Second, children were given a small but real income earning project, such as gardening, tiffin service, or electronics repair. Third, a monthly feedback loop was set up. The child would show their progress to the mentor, and the mentor would give them points based on learning, behavior, and accountability. Every point added to the child's personal score, and every 100 points earned them a new opportunity, like a bike repair toolkit or their own tiffin startup kit. The feedback loop worked wonders. Now, improving behavior was no longer a vague concept. It became measurable, visible, and rewarding. Within 3 months, the NGO noticed that where previously 60% of children would relapse, that number had fallen to 20%. Samir was surprised. "We never even thought of this," Arjun calmly said, "because you wanted to change behavior, but the system was the same. Now you changed the system, and behavior changed on its own." Nudging behavior with design. Some time later, Arjun's wife told him that children at her school were very careless about health and hygiene. They ate junk food all day, didn't wash their hands, and wouldn't wear their uniforms properly until someone checked. Arjun felt this was a perfect example of an inefficient feedback loop. He met the school principal and initiated a small experiment, the Health Stars program. Every child was given a health card where three basic daily habits were tracked: hand wash before lunch, fruit intake, and proper uniform. Children had to track these habits themselves, and the teacher would just check weekly. Every month, a health star was chosen and given a small reward, like a free storybook or a healthy treat in the cafeteria. But the twist was that the class collectively earned this reward. If 80% of the children in the class achieved good scores, the entire class would get a small treat. Suddenly, hygiene was no longer just personal, it became social. Children wanted to stay clean themselves so the whole class would get a reward. One child would tell another, "Wash your hands, or our score will go down." Arjun had proved again, a small feedback loop plus a shared incentive equals a big behavior change. Empowering frontline workers and visual feedback. A few weeks later, a big opportunity came Arjun's way. A private hospital chain invited him to redesign their health process. The problem was that the patient discharge process was so slow that people would get stuck for hours, fill out complaints, and doctors would get frustrated. Every audit recommended more staff training and stricter adherence to SOPs. Arjun spent 3 days in the hospital just observing. He found that discharge delays weren't happening because people were lazy, but because the process was designed in such a way that every step was dependent on another, and there was no feedback on where each step was stuck. He created a visual feedback dashboard where the status of every patient discharge was visible live. When the doctor gave clearance, the status would turn green. If billing was pending, it would show yellow. If the medicine summary wasn't prepared, it would show red. Now, every ward nurse and admin staff could glance at that screen and see where action was needed. Where discharge previously took 4 hours, the average time was now 90 minutes. Arjun explained, sometimes people are slow, the system is blind. If feedback is visible, people naturally move correctly. He observed another real-world tweak when he visited a government school where children's attendance was very low. The principal explained that parents would send their children to work or say they needed help at home. "We are tired of explaining," she said. Arjun asked, "Has there ever been a child whose attendance has been consistently good?" The principal replied, "Yes, Pooja. She comes every day." Arjun called Pooja and softly asked, "Why do you come to school every day?" Pooja said, "I love drawing class, and if I miss it, the drawing teacher doesn't let me attend the class next week." Exactly the concept Heath talks about. Incentive doesn't always mean money, it means meaning. Arjun suggested to the principal that they start a mini club for every subject, drawing, reading, science fun, and implement a weekly participation rule. Only children who come at least 4 days a week can join. Now, the children's reason for coming to school wasn't just studies, they started coming to school for their favorite activities. Attendance increased, discipline improved, and the overall vibe changed. Arjun saw the same pattern everywhere, wherever change was needed, just a little process nudge, feedback loop, or incentive redesign would do the trick. Every time he looked at a new system, he would just ask himself one question: does this design naturally push people towards better behavior? And if the answer was no, he would quietly think of a new small tweak, a new process, a small incentive, or a smart feedback mechanism. Arjun now understood that to make massive changes, you don't need loud speeches, big rules, or fear-based training. You just need some thoughtfully designed nudges. And now he always remembered that line from Heath's book: systems don't need to be forced to work, they need to be designed to flow. And Arjun just kept doing that, bringing systems into flow, peacefully, cleverly, and completely. The silent designer. Arjun had now worked in several sectors: education, healthcare, NGOs, corporate, and every time, one thing became clear: most systems are designed by people at the top, but the people who actually work on the ground have no say. But now Arjun had made it his mission to change this mindset. One day, he got a new assignment in a government-run transport department. There were constant complaints, buses ran late, tickets were black marketed, and passengers faced many problems, from cleanliness to safety. Senior officers of the department called Arjun and said, "We've tightened all the rules, installed GPS, trained conductors, but the situation isn't improving." Arjun just said one thing: "Have you ever asked the drivers and conductors where the problem is?" An officer laughed and said, "What would they know? They just do their duty." Arjun thought to himself, this is the biggest design flaw. The people with the closest view have the farthest voice. Arjun decided to try a small experiment. He called it to 0 conductors and drivers from 10 different depots and asked a simple question: if you could redesign this system, what would you change? Initially, people hesitated, but when Arjun asked them to speak openly, things started coming out. One conductor said, "Sir, our timetable is set in such a way that our shifts overlap. We don't even get time to drink tea or go to the washroom. So we stop the bus somewhere and take a 10-minute break, which causes delays." A driver said, "There's GPS, but no live feedback. If there's an emergency, we can't even send a signal." Another conductor said, "Tickets are cut manually, and passengers always argue about why they didn't get change. If payment were by card or mobile, there would be no arguments." Arjun quietly listened and noted every point. He was convinced that these people were the most intelligent observers of the system. These are the people who work every day steeped in the problem. They know where the water leaks from. Arjun convinced the department to create a frontline innovation board where 5 suggestions would be taken from ground level workers every month. Any practical suggestion would be piloted. The first pilot was the smart break timetable. Conductors and drivers got a 15-minute staggered break in their shift schedule, which neither delayed the route nor tired the workers. This was just a small tweak, but the complaint volume reduced by 30%. The second pilot was an emergency ping button. A simple button was installed in every bus, allowing any emergency signal to be sent to the control room. This helped handle breakdowns or medical emergencies quickly many times. The third was a mobile ticketing app. A basic app was created where people could scan a QR code to get tickets, and the cashless system gradually grew. This not only reduced arguments but also significantly reduced ticket leakage. Arjun saw that when systems are designed without asking the people who use them daily, they often turn out bad, no matter how good the intention. Then another project came up, involving a hospital's cleaning staff. There were constant complaints that the wards weren't clean. Management did the same thing again: strict rules, penalties, and increased staff overtime hours. But the problem still wasn't solved. Arjun said, "Let's talk to them once." When Radha, the head of the cleaning staff, spoke, the entire room fell silent. She said, "We get chemicals late, gloves aren't available for 2 days, and when doctors are on rounds in the ward, we are stopped, so we have to wait. But the complaint comes to us." Arjun took immediate action, streamlined the supply of cleaning materials, created a buffer stock of gloves and masks, and smartly adjusted cleaning time according to the doctor's schedule. Radha said one more thing: if we know the patient's discharge time in advance, we can prepare that ward beforehand. This was a simple point, but there was no process in the hospital system that gave cleaning staff discharge alerts. Arjun told the IT team to send automated alerts to the cleaning team on discharge notices. Conclusion: Arjun was now a familiar name in various sectors, consistently showing that most systems, while designed with good intentions, often fail because they don't account for the daily realities of those on the ground. His approach of listening to frontline workers and implementing small, strategic changes consistently yielded significant improvements. He had truly become a silent designer, reshaping systems through empathetic understanding and smart design, proving that the most effective changes often come from the most unexpected places.